I'm Nicholas Whitmore, the game designer of Battles of Ohnon.
Hi, my name is Alexis Troy, and I'm the graphic designer of Battles of Ohnon.
So today we're going to do a quick demo and tutorial of how to play the game. So champions have a health value up here, which shows how much damage they can take before becoming mortally wounded. In Battles of Ohnon, champions don't immediately die when they take as much damage as they have health, but at the end of the round, mortally wounded champions will be killed off. An armor value here shows how much oncoming damage is reduced by. For a lot of champions, it's 0. Then they've got two things here, which are the most important part. They show what actions the champions can take. For some champions, one might be a special, which is a more passive or triggered thing, but the actions are what you're actually going to do on your turn. You'll see here, this is the symbol for a ranged action. A ranged action can be used from any position to target any position. There are a couple other standard types of actions. This is a melee action. It can only be used from the first row to target the first row. This is a reach action. It can be used either from the first row to target one of the first 2 rows, or from the second row to target only the first row. So some actions don't have types. They'll describe how they target within their text. So Sandstorm does 1 damage to all champions. This is an example of a champion with a special, which is not an action you choose on your turn, but rather a passive ability. If he is hit by an attack that is melee or reach, he deals 1 damage to the champion who performed that action. So there's some different types of counters as well. This is a damage marker. It marks damage on people. This is a 5 damage marker, which marks 5 damage. This is a stun marker, which if a champion has a stun marker, when they're chosen to act, instead of getting to do anything, they just won't get to act. This is a focus marker. Champions get these and they do different things depending on the champion that has them. It's described on their card. And this is a weakness marker, which reduces damage a champion would deal by 1 with a minimum of 1 damage. And finally, this is a fatigue marker, which just shows which champions have acted already in a round. When all champions have these, the round's over. So for game setup, we just go ahead and set the various counters off to the side, grouped into piles. We'll go over those a bit more in a bit. But then we just go ahead and deal 6 cards to each player, and they're not going to look at these cards. You're actually going to arrange them in a pyramid formation. And these are the placeholders for your formation in Battles of Ohnon. And then we go ahead and deal 4 champion cards face up to form the bench. This is the place where players will actually be drafting from. There's the champion deck. So this here is the first player token. We're going to go ahead and flip this to decide who goes first. Do you want to call heads or tails?
Heads.
Tails, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. And I'm going to go first. We're in the drafting phase now, where we're going to draft our champions and choose where to put them in our formation. I'm going to go ahead and take this guy. He's kind of a back liner, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in my back line. All I do is remove this card, place him where I want him, and then flip this over. And now it's Lexus's turn to draft.
Alright, so I kind of like the guy that he flipped over, so I will choose this guy, and it seems like he can be placed in the first or second row, so I think I'm going to put him in the second row over here. Over this card.
Alright, I'll go ahead and take this person here. It's once again kind of a back liner, kind of a specialty unit that shuts down other units. I'll put her here and flip one there.
I have like this character here, and she has armor, so you're there.
And now in the event I don't like anyone that's showing currently, I can draw a card from the top of the deck. I'm stuck with whoever I draw. I still have to put them down somewhere. I can look at what they would replace, and in this case I'm going to have to go ahead and discard someone from the bench and replace them with the card I flipped up.
Alright, so I think I like this character here, and I'll put her in the front.
Okay. So then we're going to continue on with this phase until all of our slots are filled. It doesn't take a terribly long time, especially if you know the characters well.
Here. Choose this person.
So that's how the drafting phase goes. It's now over because both of our slots are completely filled with champions. So now that we're done with the drafting phase, we're going to go into the battle phase. I'm going to go first once again because I have the first player marker. What I'm going to do is take a fatigue marker and choose any one of my champions to fatigue. This shows that they've acted this round. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Haitan here in the back. Then I get to choose one of his actions to perform. I'm going to go ahead and do Parch, which is his first action. It's 1 damage to any champion, and it has a special effect if they're at less than half health. None of her guys are going to be at less than half health, so it's just going to be 1 damage, and I'm going to hit this guy back here because he only has 4 health. Now it's her turn.
Alright. So, I'll attack with Gad right here. He's gonna do Ambitious Jab, which is gonna make him move forward. I'm gonna have to switch him with the person in front right here. Put this person back. And then deal 4 damage to this guy here.
So my champion here is now fatigued. He can't act again this round, but I can choose any other champion. I'm going to go ahead and choose Zarek here in the front to do a feint, which targets a champion in the second row for 4 damage. I'm going to go ahead and target Nearest with that action.
But that can't happen because of her special, which is since this person is in the same row as her, she'll take that damage instead, and factoring in her armor.
Alright, so that redirects the damage to Sunais, and Sunais will only take 3 damage because she has 1 armor, reducing that. And the gameplay will then continue until all our champions are fatigued. We'll go back and forth taking actions. Alright, so once both players' champions are completely fatigued, that round of combat is over. And what you're going to do is, first you're going to clean all weakness markers off champions. These are these green things. Then we're going to kill any champions that are mortally wounded, starting with the first player. They can kill champions in any order, so I'm going to go ahead and this guy has 7 damage. And only 6 health. He's mortally wounded, so we are going to kill him off. Now there's a vacant spot in my second row, so someone has to step up to fill it. And I have 1 more mortally wounded champion here. He is going to die off. And he was in the back row, so no one has to step up to fill that spot.
So this guy died here. And let's see, I guess I'll choose to bring her up here.
Alright, at that point we can go ahead and remove the fatigue markers from our still living champions. And then I pass the first player marker back to Lexus, who will get to go first for this round of combat. and she would take her first turn. And the game continues like that until one player is entirely wiped out.